Welcome back to my channel. My name is Andromedus, and in this video we're going to cover origins of coffee and organics versus inorganic or whatever. And there's a reason why I did it that way, and you'll see what I'm saying in a minute. Excuse me. Coffee origins. I don't know the science of it. You'll have to look that up yourself and dive a lot deeper into that. But you have two different types of coffee, or coffee bean. You got the Arabica, and you have the I can't think of it. It starts with an R. What the other one is? The one that starts with an R is a really more naturally bitter coffee than Arabica is. Sometimes coffee companies will mix that in, claiming it's all Arabica. You have to watch out for that. I mean, if you're okay with the other one, that's fine. But just know that if you're not looking for anything but Arabica, then you have to watch out for it. Just like there's a thing called chicory. I think it's a tree bark, I believe, that can be used as a coffee substitute. But coffee companies, certain ones have been known to mix that in there, claiming it's all coffee when it's not. So you have to be on the lookout for that too. But coffee origins, a lot of your extra bonus flavors, your notes, come from where it's grown. What altitude level, the humidity, sometimes even what's around it, what is the plant life and the ecosystem that's around it. In some rare instances, it's also what animal poop it comes out of. Not my forte. If it's yours, then that's fine. Excuse me. But then you start getting into the whole thing about how it's grown, and in a real world scenario, no, in an ideal scenario, we as budget coffee people, we would be able to make sure that every coffee we buy is exactly where it says it's from, and that the people who grow it, the people who clean them, process them, itchy throat, too many videos, they would get their fair pay. Unfortunately, not all of it happens that way, and even some companies that claim it happens that way, it doesn't happen that way. The downside is the bad part about it is, with us being on a budget, we can't exactly be mindful of that. I mean, we could try our best, but we're on a budget. And those other types of fair trade coffee, or making sure it's in a certain origin, make sure it's organic, all that, we can try to buy that stuff as much as we can, but our budget just won't allow for it, unfortunately, most of the time, because it's usually more expensive. There's a cost to making sure that everybody's getting paid fairly. There's a cost to making sure that it's organic and not any bug sprays used to fight off pests and whatnot. And even being grown in certain regions, it can be expensive to buy because they're rare, or whatever the case may be. The processing, all of that costs extra. The shipping, if it's grown, like, say, locally and processed locally, then the shipping cost is not as much, and you can get it for less. Whereas if it's grown, say, like Ecuador or Guatemala or Colombia, and you live in Japan, it might cost you a pretty penny in order just to get it shipped over to you, not including the cost of the coffee and the processing and all that stuff. So, but anyway, the origins, like I said, a lot of times it dictates how the coffees taste. Like Colombian coffee, I think, is like a chocolatey nut flavor, I want to say. But you can have coffee in the same region, but growing at a different altitude, produce a whole completely different note. than what the one grown in the lower region. But the thing is, though, if you can afford it and you can look for it, getting different coffees and trying them out, especially for a little bit when you're first getting into this journey, you'll find ones that you don't like. There are certain ones. Which one is it? I don't think it's Brazil. Oh wow, it's been a little bit. Anyway, there's one I don't really care for, but there's others that I really like a lot. For example, Kona, Hawaiian coffee blends. I really like those. The Colombian I like. Guatemalan coffee I really like. But you'll find ones that you don't like, and you'll find some that you do like, and some that you're okay with. But don't just stick with, when you first start out, don't just stick with one. Try a whole bunch of them. See what you like and what you don't like. Because that's a whole part of this journey, is finding coffee and realizing and learning how much coffee is not coffee. I keep saying this, and I'll keep saying this for quite a while, because I want to get into your head that coffee is not just coffee. It's not just the old-timey stuff where you're perfectly happy with it being brewed and sitting on a burner and getting dark and crystallized, whatever. And don't get me wrong, if you're fine, if you're okay with that, if you don't want anything else other than that, then by all means, feel free to do that. I'm not telling you not to, but I'm telling you that there's a whole world out there that you may not realize. I didn't even realize it. And then I started drinking coffee, or I started buying the whole bean coffee and getting into the whole thing and brewing myself. And I realized that there is a whole world out there that I didn't know existed. And it's a beautiful world. It's a very tasteful world. Sounds odd. And it's very enjoyable. But try to, as much as possible, when you're looking for your coffees, try to look for FairTrade coffee. And FairTrade is where the producers and whatnot get paid properly. Try to go for the organics if you can. But if you can't, there's nothing you can do about that. And don't let anybody make you feel ashamed because you can't do anything about that. Not everybody has the ability to be eco-friendly or whatever. It's just the way things are. If we could, then maybe this world would be better. I don't know. Or maybe it wouldn't. Maybe people who had more money still do the same thing and would still pay the cheapest cost that they can pay to make sure, even if it hurts somebody else. Or maybe they're perfectly happy with their coffee being sprayed with chemicals that can cause cancer and whatnot. I don't know. There's people in this world. But you can only look out for yourself, and you can only... not look up for yourself, that sounds bad. You can only do what you can only do. If it's beyond your limits, if it's beyond your means, you can't do anything about that, and you should never feel guilty about that. Do what you can, do your part, but don't let anybody beat you into the ground. Don't let anybody put you down for not being able to do it, or for your choices in coffee or whatever. It just is what it is. And with the way things have been going for the last couple of years, especially since 2020, it's been even harder for people who are on a budget to do eco-friendly stuff or organic stuff or whatever, or socially accepted stuff, whatever you may have. But just, like I said, do your part as much as you can, and look on the bag. If you're looking on Amazon, there should be pictures that show you like the fronts and the backs of the bag. Also, hopefully there's a description that has other things that go with it. There should be symbols. Look them up. They'll tell you what those symbols mean. Usually has to do with the all the stuff I've been talking about. And then if you're in a store, well, then you can easily pick up the bag and turn it around and look at it and whatnot. It may not be the most interesting video I've done so far, but it's something that I'm hoping is informative and something that will make you feel less guilty about what you're able to do. You can only do what you're limited at. Alright, well, hopefully I see you in the next video. Peace.